Go Oaktown.
Let's play ball.
Look out, here we go.
Here it is.
This is going to get ugly here. It is.
Skaters on Baseball live on a Saturday night, November 23rd. We're just 5 days away from Thanksgiving, and who knows how many days until this goddamn hot stove gets turned on, because it is cold as ice, as they say. How you doing, Christian? You just living off that Jonathan India move or what?
Yeah, it's something. I mean, there's not a whole lot going on, but the Rockies got Kyle Farmer, so the Giants. It's just like everybody's arming up in the division. The Giants have been silent.
But the Rockies, I think, passed on Brendan Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah, they must see something that nobody else does.
Well, me and Cheryl are going to Colorado for the first time. I mean, I've been there before, but we're going to a Rockies game for the first time, I think, this year. Evening, guys. ER is in the house. Thanks for joining.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know, what should we get into right away, because I want to go into like all the griping so early, like all the people that have no patience. But I understand, man. I'm there with you, but unfortunately I'm probably older than most of you guys, and I've lived through this year after year after year. And so this year Soto is last year's Ohtani, who was last year's Judge, who was last year's Harper. And this just happens. And now that Scott Boras is monopolizing the whole goddamn free agency, it's like, I don't know if anyone's going to sign that's of importance until he gets his big dog signed, and then sets a bar for these other guys. And maybe that brings in more money for the next cavalcade, and who knows. But what I want to say is just relax. The winter meetings aren't even here yet. And the amount of shit talking on Buster Posey I'm reading out there, it's just not warranted. It's not. You guys are idiots, okay? I don't know your IQ, but you're showing me that you're an idiot. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And let's be honest, aside from doing some office personnel, he hasn't hired anybody yet. So there's nothing to judge him on. I mean, yeah, you could say, oh, this guy they picked for the GM and this and that and the other thing, but it's like, man, there's like some serious panic going on, and it's just like I feel the anxiety. I get it, but nothing's. It's like winter meetings. It's like all this crap. You just got to kind of wait it out. And I mean, I'd be surprised if any of the big free agents went before December,
Yeah, my guess is well, here's the thing. I'm not even 100% sold that the Giants are gonna get Kim. Everyone just assumes that's a done deal. If the Giants get Kim, I could see that happening sometime in the next few weeks, maybe. But then again, I could also see it coming last minute to see what kind of shape he's in, because he's getting that surgery. But I have a lot of faith that we are going to get more than Kim. Whether we get him or not, there's going to be other additions, and people need to just chill. Like if we got Corbin Burns and Blake Snell, like people are saying, I've heard this and they're angry about it. I'm not angry at that. And I'd way rather have both those guys than the Segura guy that's 35 in Japan and never pitched once in the major leagues. I'm a guy that loves for the Giants to bring in someone that's an established guy. I don't think we've done that in quite some time. And these like, Kim's good, but he's coming off of surgery. Yeah, Robbie Ray won the Cy Young, but he's coming off of surgery. Like, those have been what drives me crazy. What I want to see is, here's Blake Snell and he's ready for the beginning of the year. Here's Corbin Burns and he's awesome. Here's Adames. Like, here's some guys that are gonna up the thing. And then we got Lee going a full season. That's gonna be better. And I don't know what they're gonna do at shortstop, second base, and first base. We'll see, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the one key in all that is that they need proven performers. We both know that. ER's mentioning in the chat, said no on Sagano. Yeah. 35-year-old pitcher who's never thrown a pitch in the major leagues, And I don't care that he has a career 2.47 ERA. Like, it ain't the major leagues, pal. Sorry.
If it's cheap, like if it's like the other guy, what's his name, Kasaki or whatever. Because apparently
Sasaki.
he's gonna come in at a low rate. So if we could do something like that with Sagano, then fine. But like if it's like a $30 million contract,
no.
I'm not putting him in the same category as Snell or Burns.
And here's the thing: I don't know if you knew this, but Sagano was posted by the Yomiuri Giants about 3 or 4 years ago to the majors, and nobody bought in. So either he was overpriced or he's really not all that. Okay. And now he's 3-4 years older than he was then. So we could go on and on. It sounds like a very floated boat rumor type of thing. And I'd be surprised. I mean, they got him for $1 million for a year, maybe. But
okay.
It's just one of those things. Who knows what it would be?
Well,
anyways.
So ER is in here, and he's saying the only problem with Posey are the optics. That's all, nothing else. And knock out a trade too. And I guess since I don't have to type like angrily tonight and I can just say these things, which is such a joy. I just say, just be patient, bro. Like the winter meetings is usually when things start even just kind of like right now before Thanksgiving, these dudes are just like hunting for turkey. They want to find the best stuffing. Like they ain't tripping on this yet. You got to wait till December. I don't think Ohtani signed till mid-December last year, maybe, or towards the end. But things are going to start happening in December. You can guarantee that. And so let's not just jump to conclusions like, oh, Wade's our first baseman again. Yaz is our right fielder again. Not necessarily. And I think I will be super surprised if opening day has Yaz in right field and Wade at first base. I think one of those two is possible. I don't think both is going to happen.
I think Doval's going to be playing in a different city too.
Camilo is probably the easiest to trade. I think he has the most value, right?
He's got the most value, most potential, and he's young, But yeah, I think people are paying way too much attention to John Heyman and foul territory and all this sort of, I'm sorry, subpar baseball media coverage that comes out of, Mr. Bowtie and Heyman is like a mile a minute rumors that are just hilarious, I keep waiting for the next intentional typo that he puts out. But yeah, I mean, all the hot stove shows on MLB, everything. I mean, they're just throwing darts at a dartboard at this point. Right?
Some of it's clickbait. Everybody wants views and attention. And it's like, I mean, we could put on our thing, like, is Soto really signing with the Phillies? Like we could do that if we want.
Well, you think about it like John Heyman. I mean, everybody talks about it in negative terms, but think that guy went from being like a niche baseball media guy to being a known entity around the world because he broke this news, right? And it's just like, it's hilarious. He got all sorts of notoriety. It just wasn't the kind you really want.
The arson judge.
But Heyman's like, he's like a punchline to a joke now. It's great, and that's not to say he doesn't know ball, but I mean, that one was, they say screw the pooch. He did some serious pooch screwing on that one.
Well, I'm looking at the whole thing a lot. Every morning I wake up hoping there's a news, a headline that says somebody got somebody traded for someone or whatever. And I'm kind of starting to wonder what my top three, like if I'm shooting for what I want to see, what is that going to be? Is it the Giants sign Adames? Is that like the number one? And I think for myself, because also I'm hearing so much from Posey and the camp around him that pitching and defense is essential, and it's like what they believe in and all this. For me, number one is Burns or Snell. I need one of those guys.
Yep. Yeah, it's got to be. They got to get one of the top free agent starters, or, I mean, this rotation as is a lot of question marks, right?
Yeah.
More than not. And I mean, Webb you can depend on, right? But he was basically your number 2 guy next to Snell last year in terms of just like the wipeout stuff. You know, I mean, obviously he puts up way more innings, but then after that, it's just Robbie Ray. Who knows? I mean, he might. If he comes out like his first start last year and pitches like that most of the year, great. If he's like his last couple of games, scary. Harrison, scary. Birdsong, young, inexperienced. And what are they going to do with Hicks? You know, like, I don't think Hicks works as a starter. His arm burned up, you know.
I could see Hicks going the first half and then putting him in the bullpen, but
maybe.
Here's what's going to happen for me is if they get a Snell or a Burns and they have, you know, one of those guys with Webb, I think the other 3 guys will be, I'm really confident that between Birdsong, Harrison, Keaton Wynn, Roop, like we got a lot of dudes. We got a lot of arms that are competent to be a 3, 4, 5. And they'll figure it out. Like, is Roop the best out of those guys? Harrison, like it might take a minute, but I'm not worried about that if we have the top 2 dogs and that those guys are veterans and can actually raise these dudes and help them. You know, Webb talked so much about how much he learned when he was young from the veterans on the Giants.
Right.
And I think him and Snell or him and Burns can do the same for a Birdsong and these young guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I just, either one, Burns or Snell, I mean, these guys have a lot of experience. They got a lot of service time now, and they're both fantastic pitchers. They're in the top, 12, 13 pitchers in the league, depending on the week that you're looking at and stats. So, yeah. And I see ER's chiming in with, see, I was talking about maybe trading Harrison too, and Hicks definitely in the bullpen. I've been banging on that one since the regular season.
Okay, so Harrison and Hicks, who do you think we could get for Harrison and Hicks? What level player?
Oh, if you trade them both?
Dryden? Yeah.
I don't know what level. I mean, I think he's saying put Hicks in the bullpen, not trade him, but trade Harrison. So okay. Harrison is just, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do, how that's going to work out.
Well, Harrison's not going to get us much by himself, probably.
No, it would have to be a package, They got a lot of minor league guys that, they could.
Like, put it this way. Can we trade Harrison for Bichette straight up 1-to-1?
Nope.
No.
Wouldn't happen.
Right.
I think
we need a first baseman, a shortstop, or a second baseman, correct? Or a right fielder.
Yeah, because
I know you want that backup catcher, but I'm going to put that a little further back in my priorities.
Yeah, they do need a solid backup for Bailey, though. So
yeah,
we can always talk about that one later. They got, like you said, they got to get another ace in the rotation. That is a it's a deal breaker if they can't do that. And beyond that, I mean, the shortstop hole is pretty crucial. Luciano's out of the running for that.
Absolutely.
He's just shagging balls in the outfield, basically. Yeah, I mean, those are the two biggest things by far. I think now that Yaz is going to stick around one more year, I mean, the outfield's got depth, and if the young guys can really crack in and get it going with Lee out there, Yaz might be on the trade block, I think he's destined to go play in Boston.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I guess, I mean, I like to give Eric and Glenn some shine because those guys are the inspo, right? But I've been listening to them and they have a good point. Like, if you're going to trade Yaz, why didn't you trade him before giving him $9 million and making him maybe a little harder to trade?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, time, of course, is the obvious thing. Like in time, maybe they can find a deal. Like, they only had whatever till 2 days ago. But yeah, I struggle with the whole trade thing because I just think about it from a fantasy baseball, perspective. And every time I try to make a trade in my league, nobody wants to trade anything unless it's a sure win for them.
Right.
So like, it's really hard to trade somebody for somebody you want unless you have an abundance of things. So the Giants could trade some pitching because they have it and hope to get a shortstop or a bat, an offense. You don't want to trade a pitcher for a pitcher.
No.
It's just kind of dumb. So you would need to trade like a different type of player for a different type of player and hope they're kind of equal and each one can help each other.
Yeah. Well, that's
tough. Instead of going to like, I want Santander, I want Adames, and I'll take Goldie for a year. Done.
Yeah. Well, the trick is, figuring out which team has the puzzle piece that fits yours. Like, okay, these guys have sort of a surplus of this type of guy, and we need one of those really bad. And we got a couple of extra pitchers down in AAA that we could package up because they need some arms. They need some prospect young arms, right? And first you got to find that, and then you got to find the one where you're like the salary range that you're trading is kind of equitable, or you're coming out slightly on the good side of it, right? And it's tricky. The trade thing is tricky. I mean, it used to be like big names got traded, blockbuster trades, right? It's very rare now. It happens. Soto got traded. Arias got traded, right? He didn't go as a free agent to San Diego, and there's been some big ones, but they're pretty rare now. And so I think I would love it if the Giants could find a blockbuster trade to pull off.
Right.
Awesome.
This Vladdy trade I got proposed is all day, man. If I saw that, so here's going back to what I was saying earlier. If I get Snell Burns tomorrow morning as my headline, I'm juiced. And then if I get a trade for Vladdy or Vladdy and Bichette, it's a wrap, dude. I'm running down the street, high-fiving everyone I see. Like, it's a wrap. But we could also, here's the other thing. I want to touch on this. This has been bugging me. How many wins did we win last year? 80 or 81? 80, I think,
they
right?
were sub 500, so I think it was 79 or 80, yeah.
Okay, so check this out. Let's just do the math here. We get the same team. We get Snell back, so it's the same team, right? But we have Jung-Hoo Lee for the whole year. Right there, without anything else, is the same team, except for Snell is pitching hopefully way better from the beginning, and Jung-Hoo Lee is playing the whole year.
Yep.
Now, we get Kim to play second or short. Just stop right there. How can we not be better? We're better.
No, it would be an improvement. And right, I mean,
so we're going to win over 500.
Going to go over 500 with those.
Okay, so all I want to say is fuck everybody that's saying they're going to win 70 games and all this shit. No, like, we're going to be better than last year. We want to be better than better, but let's just like quit being so Debbie Downer. Forever optimism over here, baby. We're going to get 87. I'm claiming it right now. Right. I know Christian wants 90 plus, and anything under 90 is going to bum him out, but 87's not bad.
No, actually, given the last couple of years, I'd take 87 at this point. Absolutely. I think I'd be happy with that. I mean, that gives you a solid shot at the wild card at least, right?
I'm definitely down for Gosman's contract with Bichette and Vlad. Yep. Like all day.
That would take care of 3 holes and 1.
Yeah.
That would be insane.
But these guys are saying they want to reduce payment. So I don't know if that's a smokescreen or reality, but the Giants are what, 5th largest, richest team in all of baseball. So if you see these opportunities, maybe your strategy changes. Like if you can get a Vladdy, then maybe it's like, well, we'll save money next year. Let's get these guys.
Yeah. So here's one that I want to run by you. You go to a lot of games at the park. You got your finger on the pulse of the fan base and what the energy is in the park and all that stuff.
Collect cards and shit.
Do all that. So think back. Let's go back. Oh, let's say 26, 27 years ago when the Giants signed Barry Bonds, and the excitement, the whole Bay Area, all of Northern California was like, oh man, it's on now. We got Barry, And I mean, they didn't have a ton of winning seasons with Barry. They went to the World Series once and didn't win it. Okay. But the excitement of that guy, a guy of that quality, of that stature coming to the team, just like lit fireworks off. When has that ever happened since then? The excitement level. And I'm not talking about at that level, but approaching that level. Like when they signed Chris Bryant a couple years ago at the deadline, was kind of exciting.
Yeah.
And then it turned out to be a downer, right? I mean, he couldn't stay healthy and whatever. But I mean, I can't even think of that many other moves that they've made since Bonds that had some oomph to it, some energy and excitement.
Well, that's because they just focus on pitching and defense. Like, I think it's been a struggle for them to get a bat that is, we haven't had a 30. I mean, your answer is yes. They haven't had a 30-run home run season out of anyone since Bonds.
Right.
So there's your answer. There's no one. Nobody has hit 30 home runs in a season since Bonds. I just don't know if a home run guy is the right answer. Like you said, they didn't do that well.
Yeah.
They didn't do that well. But if you bring in, like you and I have been talking about, a Luis Arias, these gap hitters, dudes that make contact and can use the field, because it is maybe a little tougher to hit home runs, you might have a better strategy for winning. You get good pitching, you can score 4 runs. I remember when the Giants were winning all the time, it was if they score 4 runs or more, it's a win. Like that was the formula.
Right.
If you can get something going like that, it's a wrap. And I mean, Vladdy would be super exciting. I think Young-Hoo Lee is going to be really exciting, to be honest with you. I don't think he's going to have the home runs pizzazz, but I think he's going to track down balls that most people wouldn't. I think he has this Korean charm. He's got a lot of charisma. I think, honestly, I fell in love with the guy right away. I was stoked. It's like, I've been watching so many goddamn Austin Slaters come through that damn locker room, man. It's like the white, boring dude. And it's like Matt Cain, great pitcher, boring. Like all these guys are boring. Posey, boring. Young-Hoo Lee, exciting. Soler was exciting. Like Encarnacion, exciting. These are guys that have flavor, and that's what you need. And then you start building the clubhouse, and then people want to come over there and be a part of it, including good people. And I don't know why everyone's shitting on Chapman either. I don't know who you want to play third base. The guy hit 25 home runs and won a Gold Glove. Like, what do you want over there?
Yep. No, I mean, it seemed, when they first signed that extension with him, and you're like thinking 6 years, man, like that's a long time. But that's because we're conditioned that, 3 years is a long deal in San Francisco by that balding fuck that used to be the GM. All right. Like, here, we're going to sign one of the best pitchers in baseball to a 2-year deal with a 1-year opt-out. What's the point, man? Why'd you even sign the guy? I mean, Rodon, in retrospect, seemed like a genius move because when he went to New York, he straight sucked and got hurt like around the clock. And it was like the Giants got the one good year in between out of him that was there to have. Okay. But it's just, you can't sign ace level pitchers on those kinds of deals. I mean, the fans, everybody's just bummed out. Like, great, we got the guy for a year now. He's gone, and he pitched great. It's like the same thing when Gosman's getting mentioned in here. When they let Gosman walk, didn't offer him an extension when his deal was up. That sucked too. right? Like it
Yeah,
just
but let
got-
me ask you, is Gosman got enough sour grapes? Like, would he even entertain coming back after the way he I mean, he wanted to stay.
so I said that exact same thing in the Giant Sportsnet channel, a couple of whenever that was.
Brought to you by lefties.
That's right. And better credit cards. So they were talking about Gosman, and I said, somebody saying, oh yeah, go get Gosman, and I was like, do you think he really wants to come back to SF? And they were like, oh no, but that's Farhan's gone now, so that's all fine. I'm like, I don't know, man. It's like sometimes
Same owners.
bridges get burnt for a reason, right or wrong. And so Gosman, he's making good money up there. I mean, I don't know. What does he want? But I think his prime is now passing, whereas Burns and Snell, they still got at least 5-6 really solid years before they start to break down. So give me one of those.
Who's your top guy for the youngsters? You like Roop, you like Wynn, you like Beck, you like Harrison, Birdsong.
Okay, I like Birdsong a lot. I think he's got great stuff. I think with experience, he's going to be a major piece of the rotation for years to come. Wynn, I liked what I saw out of him in the early games that he pitched. And clearly, as we know now, like his arm was jacked up. His elbow was really screwed up. So I'm curious to see what he's got. I have some faith that he's going to be pretty good. And I mean, Roop in the bullpen, dude, lights out. The rest of these young guys, it's like I haven't really seen enough to know.
There's a lot of chatter about Wisenhunt too. Like people think he could make the squad this year.
Right. Well, they've been talking about him for the last 3 years. Like, oh, we got this guy down there, and it's funny how that goes. Like, oh, it's a top pipeline prospect. They tout some guys, and then these dudes never even make it. Sometimes, right? Like they don't even get there. So
David VR.
Yeah, and so as much promise and whatever the scouts think this guy's going to be the next hot shit. It's like you never know what's going to happen, right? And some guys just can't play at the major league level because it trips their head out. They can't handle the big stage, right? Guys are like smoke it in AAA, and as soon as they come up to the majors, it's just a deer in the headlights. And you never can predict who's going to be that guy either. So
right.
But I think out of those, Roop, Birdsong definitely are looking pretty solid, and I'm excited to see what they've got coming up this year. As far as we talked about it before, but he's not one of the young guys, but Ryan Walker, the experienced dude, he's got to be our closer now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, he was already pitching like a closer all year, and then when he actually got into that spot, he's like, I'm never giving this up, man. This is what I was made for. So,
yeah, I think if Camilo stays or goes, Walker's gonna be the guy. He's got that little height, like he's got it going. So I got faith in him. I'm a huge Camilo fan. I love the guy, and so I hope he shakes whatever was wrong and comes back to all-star form and makes it a tough decision to see who the closer is. And maybe it's like, who knows, an amazing 8-9 combination either way. Right.
Sure.
And if Hicks is in there, it's like, you're starting to talk about like a dominant bullpen.
Yeah.
And so, okay, here's the whole philosophy. And this is probably where Buster's head is the bullpen is like one little tweak from just being really fucking dominant. So what's next? Let's get the starting rotation figured out. Let's get a super solid 5. We got one of the best defensive catchers in all of baseball, if not the best. So these guys, I mean, Snell loved pitching to Bailey. He was like, me and him talked about in the beginning of the year that I was going to pitch 9 innings. I didn't think I was going to get a no-hitter, but like they had a really good, connection. And so the word gets out on that too. Like, dude, this guy gave me like 40% more strikes or whatever, so it's like, I think we repeat this all the time, but the formula seems easy to me. The formula seems like you can get pitchers to come here. You can't get hitters. So you need to get hitters into your organization. Like you need to draft hitters, and you can trade for pitchers or get free agent pitchers easy because everybody wants to pitch here, but it's harder to get the big bats as a free agent to come over here. So you need to either trade for them or hope like a Bryce Eldridge comes up through your organization and lives up to all this crazy expectation. Randy Wynn was on KMBR the other day, and one of the things that he said that totally resonated with me was there is so much hype around these kids before they even are up, and it's unfair. Like their expectations are through the roof and they haven't even got on the field yet. We have to, patience is a virtue, guys. Like we're not going to trade yesterday, and we're not going to have Eldridge hit 40 home runs tomorrow. Like everything has to happen, and I don't know. It's a bummer when your team loses, and I think one of the hardest things too for all Giants fans is seeing what the Dodgers are doing. And I don't know if that kind of turns the Giants off in a way. Like what? No matter how much money we spend, we're not going to be that. So like maybe let's just try to get into the playoffs. We're not going to win the division, but maybe we could get a 5th seed and then see what happens. I don't know if that's their mentality, but it could almost be valid if it was. Like if the Dodgers are just getting every goddamn player, you're just like, well, what are we really going to do?
Well, clearly, I mean, I don't want to talk about the Dodgers that much because I just don't want to. But one thing that the Dodgers really seem to do consistently and repeatedly year in, year out is they have prospects that come up and they are good. And they can handle the major leagues, like sometimes they're good for a short stretch and then they're bad. But seems like every year the Dodgers are bringing up some young guy that's just smoking it on every level. I mean, look at Edman. What? Where'd this guy come from?
Yeah, it's weird. But
James
they're
Outman,
playing around such high talent that they probably get a lot different pitching,
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have thought about Tommy Edman at all, and then you see him in the playoffs and you're like, whoa, what? And I mean, there's guys that just rise to the occasion and have those moments. I mean, look at the MVPs of a lot of the World Series and the playoffs. It's like not the guy you think it's going to be, not
look at Kike Hernandez. He sucks all year, and then he's always amazing in the postseason.
Yeah, wasn't he the World Series MVP for Boston last time they won it? Like,
it drives me crazy. I hate that guy.
I do too. So, anyways, getting back to Randy Wynn, though. Randy Wynn is, I think, a really brilliant baseball mind, and because he's going to be the head of, I think is he the head of player development or he's the assistant? I don't know, whatever. Hiring that guy was smart because Randy Wynn was a hitter, a good career average. Didn't hit for a lot of power, but hit consistently. So if that's the mentality in player development, then good, it's just they need that really badly. I mean, so many times these guys were striking out last year. It's unacceptable at a professional level to strike out that much, right?
I mean, that is 100%. Like we all saw that and just was like, I mean, 40% strikeout, 33%, like these numbers that you see it because everything's on the scoreboard these days. So you're like, wait, this guy strikes out that much? And then you start watching some games and you're like, yeah, he does. And unfortunately, it's even higher when there's men in scoring position.
Right. And on a team, okay, so you expect that on the days that you're facing the opposing team's ace, yeah, you're probably going to strike out a few extra times, okay? Guys are, some guys, home run hitters, for example, dudes strike out a lot, but then they hit a lot of home runs, it's a trade-off. Power guys are like that. But the Giants were like having an incredibly high strikeout rate against an opposing team's number 4 or number 5 guy. Okay. You can't survive. You do that. And I think that whatever the philosophy was with hitting last year and whatever was going on, something was broke, you know, and hopefully that's going to get fixed this year. I don't know. I mean, and I've never seen a team have the inability to lay down a fucking bunt like they did last year. I mean, what? Come on. I mean, bunting's hard, right? You got to really practice it and learn it. But I mean, how many times did they not get a bunt down, right? That they had to. They had to. It's just terrible.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, James Dryden, good point. Buster had comments on OPS versus the RBI, and here's the thing. Like, Buster knows what's up. And so here's the other thing I think people are kind of forgetting in wanting this whole rushed mentality is that Buster's trying to get his army built before he goes to war. He doesn't want to go to war till he has all his generals. Like, he's got a couple of things that he has to do that he doesn't really know how to do. So he needs to hire those guys to get them into place to be like, okay, I can do this. You guys can do that. And together we are giants.
yeah. Yeah. And I don't think, we can't expect the same things to happen with Buster's president of baseball operations career that happened with his playing career. His playing career, he comes up 2010, takes over, ends up being rookie of the year, gets them through to win a World Series, the first one in San Francisco, right? I mean, that all happened over the space of 6 months? It's insane. Yeah. So like this is a whole different kind of development. Like, he's probably been sort of studying it for the past year since they put him in the ownership group, right? He's been looking at it. I'm sure this move wasn't something that was decided on the 11th hour before the end of the season and they fired Farhan, right? I'm sure this was in the works for a while. And so there's probably a long-term plan, and we may not see all the gold coins in his first season at the top of the pile, right? But I do think it's happening at a time where the fans are restless. We know that. People, all the stuff that's going on social media, the lack of confidence in any of this to do something. Like, I mean, it's early still, we don't know what's going to happen. And I'd almost be fine with riding out another season of sort of 500 ball if it looked like the plan was in place to move well beyond that in 26,
Right.
I mean, I feel like, for a while I thought, well, bring in Goldschmidt for a year at whatever the hell he wants for 1 year. And then I thought, maybe that's not such a great thing to do. I mean, maybe they can just tag team it with ARB guys and whatever. I don't know. But yeah, definitely got to get that starter and definitely got to nail down that shortstop hole. I think those are the two big ones, and a first baseman who could run a little bit would be good, but I don't think that's happening.
Well, do you think there's such thing as diving too much into your network, I guess that you would say? Like, is there any, how do you feel about Buster getting Randy Wynn, getting his agent, getting like these guys that, what's his name? The guy that they got, his mind, but the guy that they got is his advisor,
Bobby Evans.
So they're like, oh man, we've seen this rodeo, and as opposed to bringing in a new guy with maybe a new, we had Farhan and Zaidi. That was new. That was something that we hadn't had before, and I do blame those guys for the strikeout rate. I do think that they taught the mentality to take pitches that you couldn't drive. And that meant taking a strike, even if it was just a hard pitch to hit. And then also swinging for the fences, like trying to hit the ball out of the park all the time. They really kind of changed the mindset on like, no, use the gaps, try to stretch a single into a double. Like, the most exciting play in baseball is a triple, it's like, Let's go. Let's get some speed and get some guys that can utilize the park. And I think Jung-Hoo Lee is going to do that. And it's also going to make it easier on Yaz if he stays with the team. not to have to play center field, because I think Yaz is phenomenal right fielder defensively in that park. I've never seen anyone play in that park as well as he does defensively in right field. Center field, he starts to kind of lack a little bit. Maybe it's a little just angles and different. I don't know what it is, but he is great. If we kept him as the fourth outfielder, I'm totally fine with that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a little pricey at 9.5 mil, but he is a fan favorite, and I think he could be more of a fan favorite if he just hits a little better. I mean, the defense is stellar. He gives 100% playing defense, and that's valuable. So
is he kind of injury prone though? Are we almost putting him on that now? Like, it seems like he gets hurt every year.
Yeah, but he doesn't get hurt nearly as much as Brandon Belt, or miss as much time when he does get hurt.
God, please don't say, okay, my top 3 headlines I want to happen. My top 1 headline I don't want to happen is the captain is back. That's where I draw the line. If I see that goddamn guy in a number 9 jersey flurfing out there, and I can't. No, Brandon Belt, not into you.
Yeah, I was going to say too, when you're talking about Buster and people talking about him bringing in all these connected people, this is a unique situation because he's a former player. So there's a peer group of his people, a little bit older than him and around his age, that are now retired from active play in the game. But they played the game, and they have an intimate knowledge of it, more so than a business guy, right? A business guy can watch baseball on TV 24 hours a day. If he never played the game, he's never really going to understand the core fundamental sport, right? Whereas a guy who played the game, I mean, if Posey wants to bring in people that he's got relationships from the past with, I think it's good. It probably makes him feel a little more comfortable to have those people around. And there's a lot of those people will respect him because he's Buster. So, I think it's a little different than when they hire just, a Zaidi, a math nerd, somebody who's just, they've watched the movie Moneyball 1,000 times and dissected it and thought like, oh, I could do what that guy does. Right. So it's, I'm not going to worry about it right now. If this year is a total dud and then the following year, it just feels like it's going to be the same dud all over again, it'll be time to get really upset, start thinking about going like full incendiary.
Well, let's say this year is 2024, right? So it's been 10 years exactly since we won our last World Series.
Correct.
Now, that seems a long time for a team that won 3 World Series in 5 years. But let's look at the last time the Dodgers won the World Series. Let's look at the last time. How many World Series have the Cubs won in their entire existence? Like, we have championship trophies in our lifetime. My grandpa can't say that. Going to his grave, he couldn't say that. I think that we get a little jaded in the Bay Area that, like you said, if let's say we bring this year's Barry Bonds to the Giants, okay? I don't know who is that. It's Ohtani. Let's just say it's Ohtani. Let's say the Giants got Ohtani, and that's all they got, and it was this huge uproar, and everyone's stoked the same way you said they were with Bonds, but they end up a little bit above 500 and they don't make the playoffs. Are people stoked? Would people like that? Like, would you rather have a team of no names and go into the playoffs and get far?
Well, if we turn the clock back to 2010, 2012, I wouldn't say it was a team of no names, but I'd say it was a lot of guys they acquired in trades and guys that came up through the system. Mostly the pitching was from inside the system. And that combination of young guys and experienced guys that they had acquired in trades, those teams were kind of cobbled together, but they were constructed in such a way that all the pieces fit perfectly, right? And some of the trade deadline acquisitions they
Tremendous.
made. Look at Cody Ross, Jesus, Scudero,
Cody Ross was our Edmonds.
and he was a badass. Cody
Yeah.
Ross, and he went
He
ballistic
just
in
came
the
out
in
of
the
nowhere, same as Dodgers got that dude last year.
yeah, yeah, and then Scudero, like they made moves that were just they
But
worked out
but
so well.
but none of those guys sold jerseys. None of those guys are household names. Nobody's a Vladdy,
Right.
an Otani, a Judge. So all I'm saying is, would you have rather pushed those trophies away and had the top dogs that are exciting every night?
Of course not. You're
Exactly.
never going to sacrifice a trophy. So that was sort of my point, was like, if
So
you
let's
look
not put it all on Soto. That's all I'm saying.
right, like if you look back at those teams and you look at how they were constructed in a way that I think Buster Posey's philosophy might be about constructing rosters, which is not go out and spend it all in one place and bring in this big player. I mean, like, listen, the excitement level of going out and getting Adames and bringing him in isn't Barry Bonds level or even close to it, but it would be exciting for us because we know what they need, right? So we'd
Yeah.
be like, Willie Adames, fuck yes, you got a guy I wanted, I mean, that's like the excitement. I mean, yeah, if they went out and signed Soto this year, there's going to be some excitement, but he has a lot of downside that I don't think real rational people really look at the downside, which is he can't play defense. He kind of sucks at running the bases, and you're overpaying for a glorified DH. He's going to be a pure DH in 2 or 3 years. He's a defensive liability. We talk about this all the time. Like, it just doesn't make sense to spend that kind of money. And the bidding wars got him up around $700 million now, right? Easy.
I'm on record as saying
Easy.
750.
Right. And whether that's 12 years, 11 years, 14, who knows what it would be, but it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like the Harper terms, right? But way more money. So yeah, that excitement trade-off isn't good. I'd be super excited if they re-sign Snell. I'd be super excited if they get Burns. That's excitement. That is a top tier player that you're bringing in here to push this team further and higher, and compete.
And do we expect it to all happen in 1 year with a new regime? Do we expect to have a new, general manager, Buster Posey, player of operations, the vice president, all these different things, and then like a whole new squad of epicness that's going to just be like boom? Or do we expect them to kind of be moving it like chess pieces and getting our minor leagues strength and adding 1 or 2 pieces, and pretty soon in 2 to 3 years, it's like boom, and we got this army that's like, our minor leagues are strong, we can trade with other teams, and our the pro roster is strong. I kind of think Buster is thinking more along those lines than like, I'm gonna come in and wow everyone, we're gonna go to the World Series for my first year. Like, I just don't see that.
No, I don't. And it's they might be playing a little 4D chess, but you and I talked about this when Farhan first got canned, and we both agreed that 25 wasn't necessarily going to be some giant breakout year where they were going to bring in all this talent. So we felt like that 25 was going to be sort of a build-up year, not a rebuild year, but a build-up where they bring in a couple pieces. They kind of strengthen, like you said, the farm system, try to really identify who's worth keeping around and who needs to go. And then 26, go after some big free agents to like add to what you build, at the ground level. So I think, a couple of good acquisitions this year and kind of see how far above 500 they can get, and then spend some real money in 2026,
And next year is when Vladdy will be a free agent.
Right. And there's a bunch of other guys too that I think it's going to be not quite as thin as it is this year. There'll be more players available. It's just, at some point they're going to have to go out and spend money. I think they're part of not wanting to go up into the luxury tax zone again is losing draft picks. Am I right?
Yeah, like if you get Corbin Burns, it's probably worth losing the two, but
Right.
and Adamas probably worth losing the two. I think. I mean, I haven't seen enough of Adamas honestly to know exactly how much I trust him defensively and if last year's offense was kind of a little bit of an outlier or not. But he seems like the real deal, and most people that follow him are hyped on him. So I think he'd be a huge addition. You just can't do two guys that are going to lose you two draft picks. You know, like it's gonna eat you up. The one thing I did want to add to all that is last year we got Chapman, Jung-Hoo Lee, Soler, and Snell. We were stoked.
Yep.
Like going into the year, we're like, holy shit, Soler's going to hit the Coke bottle. We got last year's Cy Young. We got Matt Chapman that's a Gold Glove. Like, that's exciting. You know, like Jung-Hoo Lee, this Korean guy, he decided to come to our team. That kind of like made us feel good about an offensive player that chose San Francisco. There was a lot of optimism going into last year, and then injuries happen, and then Soler just probably didn't like playing in the cold or something. He didn't do very well here, and maybe he's getting older too. But like, I mean, I'm just gonna say Matt Chapman outperformed my expectations by a lot. Like that guy won me over. I mean, and I also want to get James Dryden a goddamn Morse jersey. I don't know how we're gonna do it, but he needs a Morse jersey. But no, I mean, let's be easy on Chapman. The guy loves playing for the Giants. He loves living in the Bay Area, and he's a Gold Glove that hits 25 home runs. He's not Manny Machado or Arenado, but he's kind of the next tier.
Well, he's actually, Arenado's defense has declined. His offense put out has also declined. Unfortunately, he was one of the best players in baseball for years. Machado's, I think Chapman smokes him on defense. So yeah,
but I mean, with the bat, I think.
I know Machado. Yeah, I know about that.
Like, oh, I need Adames. He's his bat. It's like, well, wait. What about defense?
So let's think about this. Think about what the Giants' record was with Chapman playing sparkling defense and being a Gold Glover this year. Think about what their win-loss would have been if you don't have him there. On a lot of those balls that were hit, those are in the corner extra bases every time, right? So, like, yeah, the value of that, it's immeasurable. And 25 home runs is not slouchy, okay? It's pretty damn good, especially when, the next closest guy on the team is hitting 14, 13.
And am I wrong? Wasn't he out for like a month? Didn't he kind of like get hurt for a minute too?
3 weeks, I think he missed.
Yeah, so that could be closer to 30 home runs. Like I just think he has a low batting average and he seems like he strikes out a lot. Those things need to try to be improved upon, but everything else is fantastic. His base running, stellar. He's fast. He knows how to take leads and jumps. Like the guy is a legit baseball player.
Yep. Yeah, and when you have multiple guys that do that kind of effort output and play with that level of expertise defensively, for sure, you get a couple of those guys on a roster, and now you're talking. If they're everyday guys, they're not going to get platooned. It's like, great, bring it on. I'll take guys like that. Yeah, James Dryden's right. Kim won't be available to play until I think July is what they're saying. So that I don't know about that, man.
But what they're also saying, and this is just, I don't know who they are, by the way, but they are saying that Casey Schmitt and Fitzgerald and whoever can keep it together until Kim's ready to play. I think here's Schmitty makes a prediction. November 23rd, 2024, the Giants will get someone else on top of Kim if they do get Kim. I don't know if they're going to get Kim or not, but if they do, that doesn't mean they're not going to get Adames or Bichette or somebody else. I think they're going to get Kim and somebody. and maybe Fitzgerald becomes more like a guy that's just playing all over the place, that's helping people have a day off. And also, we all know there's injuries every year. So I want Schmidt and Fitzgerald to definitely be like close enough that they can, help out when somebody goes down or fatigued or any of that.
Yeah. And so it's interesting. You said, maybe we can just have these guys sort of patch it together until Kim can be ready to play. Why not just have these guys learn these positions and play them for real? Right. I mean, Casey Schmidt's got a cannon of an arm. He gets a little squirrely on defense. When they brought him back up for the last month of the season last year, he was smoking the ball. If you could get
he needs to hit a little more
consistent production out of him on the offensive side, if he can learn to play shortstop, play him at shortstop, right? I mean, we saw Fitzgerald had a few miscues at short. When he played second base, he was fine. I love Fitz at second base.
To be honest, I've seen Schmidt play shortstop, and I just think he's a little sluggish with not enough range. That's why he's better at third base, because you don't have to move around as much. His arm is amazing, but he has missed some grounders at short that I was like, Crawford would have got that for sure, you know? Yeah. And so, I don't know. I like Casey and Fitzgerald playing second base. And us getting a really good defensive shortstop. And what I'm hoping is that they get a really good bat for another position. That means that if the great defensive shortstop is lacking in bat a little, it's made up on other positions like, first base, right field, DH. Those are the obvious ones. I think Fitzgerald, if you put him at second base all year, he might lead all second basemen, and he's a great hit. I mean, he's got some power and
real power.
He's fast. He'll probably learn how to steal bases. Like, his future looks good.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, if they need a bat, why not just look for a pure DH? Can be had relatively cheap, right? As long as his as long as his name's not Jock Peterson, I think they should be listening, right?
Well. So that was the other thing that I kept saying is it can be a first baseman, even if you do believe Bryce Eldridge is going to play early, because one of those two guys can DH. And my money is on Eldridge DHing a little, because I hear all he's doing right now is learning how to play first base. He is taking tons of who's the guy that one of the coaches is down in Phoenix, just every day they're working on his defense, because apparently he's just a great hitter. But he's been a pitcher his whole life. So they moved him to first base so he could concentrate on hitting. I know Wade Jr. has power, but he also has weak legs and he gets hurt every year. I agree, James. You're not looking at two lightweight fans of Lamont Wade. Christian and I are both big fans, but I just, after last year, I was like, I saw the same thing happen again. And he just goes down, and then it seems like he's fatigued and he's not the same guy or something. And it's I think his defense has really come up, though. He was not a first baseman, and he's playing well over there.
Yeah, he does good for a guy who's not super tall with a big long wingspan too.
But he's really slow.
Yeah, he is. Anyways, whatever ends up happening with Wade, I'm just glad that he had some time in San Francisco, because I dig that dude, man.
Yeah.
So anyways, well, shit, man. I mean, I think all the crazy pessimism is even way too much for me. The social media stuff that's going on, it's kind of making me laugh just seeing people just completely soil their pants over all this stuff. Because it's okay, Juan Soto is not coming. You can leave that one at the curb, right? The rest of it, just let it play out. Let's see what happens. I mean, nothing has happened yet. So, I mean, bad stuff starts happening. Okay, yeah, go ballistic, but nothing's happened.
Yeah, so you want to try to make a prediction? Anything that you're predicting? Do you think like Soto's going to sign before New Year's? Do you think the Giants are going to get a player by the winter meetings? Like anything that you're thinking that like, I think this is going to happen?
I have a feeling that by mid-December, the Giants are going to have whoever that pitcher they're going to sign is going to be inked. I think so.
Blake Snell. Well, the real Blake Snell, Snellzilla, number 7, come back to the Bay Area where his wife, it's not even his wife, it's just his lady friend. They got a kid. They live up in Seattle. That's just a hop, skip, and a jump, real quick plane flight. Let's do this. Bailey's saying he's down for another no-hitter. Blake, we love you, kid. Come on, your quirkiness is perfect in the Bay Area.
Yeah. So what's your prediction? What do you got?
My prediction is, I talked myself out of my prediction. my prediction was going to be that Ha-Seong Kim would be signed during the winter meetings. But then I started thinking, why would they sign somebody that they're not sure about how he's doing after a surgery? And maybe they wait later. So I got to switch gears on my prediction. And I'm going to go with this. Camilo Duvall remains a Giant. And Lamont Wade does not.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah. And I would love to see Santander come to the Giants. I don't know how we fit him in there. He's not that great defensive, so I'm thinking he'd be more of like a platoon and a DH guy. But I'm down for him. Here's the wild card. If these guys make an insane trade, I feel like they already won. Like if Buster's personnel pulls off some like really big trade where MLB Network's talking about it. It's like, holy smokes, 3 for 3 with another team and all that craziness. I feel like they won. Like it doesn't even matter what our record is. It's like Buster came in and did something pretty heavy before the season. So that's something I'm kind of rooting for, is to see like a 3-team trade where we get Luis Arias and Bichette or something crazy like that. Yep. Dude, if we get a good shortstop and like the best hitter in baseball. Yeah, but how many wins are they going to get? How many wins? There's not. Eric, I don't know what's going on, Eric. That's my Glenn impersonation, who I love, and I'm scared because he's going to be back in my building in a week. Woo!
If he doesn't get snowed in permanently in Canada for the winter.
Hopefully we'll take in a Sharks game. That guy's a maniac.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for everybody for joining us. We like to tune out right around now because the other guys start theirs up at 8. So we've been doing the 7 to 8 thing kind of as a warm up or, just keep it flowing. So please reach out, tell people to join. We'd love to have more heads in the chat, and the easy way for that is subscribes and likes, I guess, apparently. But James, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Anybody out there that watched this that didn't want to chime in, you're always welcome.
Hell yeah. So we should reconvene after the Turkey Day. I think would be a good thing. And in case you've got a live turkey that you're priming for Thanksgiving, don't leave them out in the rain, because if you do, they look up and they drown.
Is that right? I've never heard that.
Yeah. Turkeys are, there's not much going on upstairs, unfortunately. Probably why they became the traditional victim of a feast.
Well, I guess, that'll be good after Thanksgiving. It might be a little rough that weekend. I think we get our Christmas tree and we're doing family stuff, but we'll squeeze it in.
Yeah, whenever. I'm flexible.
And cool. One last note, I gotta mention it. I'm no longer a big game virgin. We went to Cal Berkeley today, and I love the fact that they had these huge, in front of the fraternities, they had these huge banners that said "fuck Stanford." And so I took photos of those. I took a photo of me in the park flipping you off, and then I took a photo of the scoreboard, which Cal beat Stanford. And so I'm going to put those together and make a post that says, Berkeley, California, peace, love, and fuck Stanford.
Beautiful.
There you have it, kids.
So do they do the axe presentation on the field?
Yeah. Okay. And dude, everybody rushed the field. Like we were doing little time lapses. It's just like everyone's going nuts. I had a good time. Cheryl and I really actually had a good time. And we got in early enough that we could get food before the lines got too crazy and stuff. And we luckily had really good seats and nobody in front of us. So we could put our legs out, and no drunken crazy people like doing drunken crazy stuff like in our vicinity. So it all worked out the best. Cool. And I got home to talk baseball with y'all.
Yeah. I would have loved to have been at the big game where the stupid band ran on the field.
Ooh, that's the one. What the replays 82?
Yeah, something like that. The replays are priceless on that. It would have been fun to see it in real time.
Best. I was telling Cheryl about that. I was like, it's insane. They came out, they thought they won, and it wasn't over, and then they lost because the band gets in the way.
Yeah.
Woo!
It was nuts.
Well, let's hope some more moves happen besides Jonathan India. I mean, something else is going to come. Who's doing the most work right now? The Angels, the Royals?
Angels are doing a little bit. The Royals are talking a big game, but we don't know what they're going to do. The A's have been doing a lot of locking in players that they're not going to dump for a change. So
I heard the A's.
That may be one of the biggest moves yet, is the A's not just having a fire sale, right?
I heard the A's went after Bueller, and he was like, no way.
And, unfortunately for him, he's kind of at that level right now. It just isn't. I mean, he threw a good game in the playoffs, but I don't know, man. He's not the guy that he used to be.
Okay, let's end it with this. November 23rd, 2024. Where's Juan Soto ending up?
Yeah. And in Posey, we trust.
No. Where?
I'm he's going. Do I have to pick one?
Yep. How about this? I'll just tell you my pick, and then you can.
I know who you're going to pick. He's going to stay with the Yankees.
Nope. New York Mets.
I know that. I know that's your thing.
He's going to be a Met next year. I just want to say, for the record, for Instagram, for Twitter, for TikTok, for all the social medias, November 23rd, 2024, Schmitty, that's me. I said it. Remember that. Soto, New York Mets. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know how you get out of here.
Leave studio.
Where does that say that? Do you see it?
Thanks for listening to this episode of Skaters on Baseball. If you liked what you heard, please spread the word. Give us a good review, or hell, blow us up on your social media if you're down. Follow us at Skates on Base on Instagram for baseball news and other fun stuff. We love comments and listener participation, so bring it with an audio clip or an email. You can email us at skatersonbase@gmail.com. We're everywhere you get your podcasts, and we'll be here all season long.
Let's go, San Francisco. Let's go, Giants.
I'm excited to give everything that I have for these next 6 seasons and, see where it takes us.
They can't say it anymore, Complete game, shutout, no hitter, leave me alone.
Adios! Pelota!
See you soon. Thank you.
And I am forever a Giant.
Oh, yeah.